Hello everyone, I am Andy with Integrity Data Insights, and today I want to take some time and go through one of the cool new features released of Power BI, and that is the ability to use Copilot against your data in the desktop. This just released last week, and I'm excited to check it out. So here is the official Microsoft release, and there's several things in here, but this is the main one that I wanted to highlight, and that is Copilot and AI, so you can ask questions against your data. So let's dig in and see how it works. The first challenge you will go up against is, depending on your subscription, your Power BI setup, is whether you can actually use Copilot. So that took me some time to unravel. I'll give you kind of the highlights of that quickly. So this is a sample dashboard that you've seen me probably use on and off. This is in Power BI, in the desktop, Power BI desktop. Yeah, so you notice right at the top, right up here, is the little Copilot button up there. Now, don't get too excited yet, because that appears whether you can actually use it or not. And I'll show you what happens when you actually click it. So when you click the Copilot button, it's going to prompt you to connect to a workspace that supports Copilot. So we won't have time to go through all the minutia of how I set it up to be able to use Copilot, but I created a second video, so if you want to check that out, the link will be below, and you can get into the weeds of exactly how I set that up, pricing considerations, and how to monitor usage. We have this workspace, and essentially what this gives you is, gives you the ability for Microsoft to bill you for what you do. So once you've connected your capacity in your workspace, you'll see the Copilot bar that appears off to the right side of the Power BI desktop right over here. So it'll give you some basic information at first to start, kind of CYA stuff. Right in the bottom here, you'll see you kind of have a standard box to type in. Show me a chart with, I'll say, and I know this data set has like continents in it, I believe. So with, I'll say sales by continent. Let's just start with that, see what it does. So you'll see right here, it gives the working on it. It's coming back. Sometimes it's not the quickest, but it's not unreasonable, I guess, given what it's doing. So right now, just to be clear, this is searching against, it has context of, my dashboard and the data, the associated data set. So you can see what I came back with, and you can see it didn't give a great answer by, hey, what do you mean by sales? So that's not a great start for it. But let's click one of these examples and see if that does better. Okay, so you can see right here, it did give me a nice chart that it built with the revenue, and you can add it to the page, or let's click this button to be able to see it bigger. So you can see just like that, it queried the data and was able to produce this nice chart. This was a cool one when I was playing around with it earlier. Let's see if this works again. But if you say suggest content for this report, here's a suggested outline for your report, sales analysis, create a page to analyze sales performance over time. So yeah, let's try that. So I'm gonna hit create, and you'll see it creates this whole other dashboard page. So you could see, just like that, within, what was that, 5-10 seconds, it created this whole other page down here. So it's pretty nice. There's some things I definitely would change, but it instantly put these boxes at the top with the kind of the total revenue, total orders. And this is in your dashboard, so you could publish this, you could do whatever you wanted, you could tweak it, but just with a couple clicks to be able to get this kind of dashboard built was pretty phenomenal. Let's play around with something else. So let's create that. Let's see what that gives us. There's a bunch of helper things you can do that it's given me instructions on, where you can kind of create synonyms and different things to help it understand even more. But just out of the box, I mean, it's doing a pretty decent job of of interpreting the data model. So if you're not as familiar with Power BI, you'll see right here is kind of all your data information right there. Okay, so it did come back. I'm not sure where it, average of income by education level. So I'm not sure how it got this. Let's dig in a little bit more. So, if you know Power BI, once it's created it, you can kind of, reverse engineer and see kind of what it did. So I'm going to click right here and just see, you can see since this is highlighted that it's using that. So it's annual income, customer dimension table. So you can see, it pulled the, average annual income by occupation. So you can see the management is the highest and the manual labor is the lowest. So pretty neat. So it's mining all this out of this data set. So from the customer's dim table. So really quick, if you click, draw your attention to the top left up here, I'm going to switch to this, to the data view, just so we can see kind of what's in here. So digging into this page, you can kind of see the details behind where it came up with this. So there's that annual income, and you can see right here, there's also the education level and the occupation. So that's where Copilot was able to find that in the data model, and then add these visuals as a part of that. So I'm going to click the product performance button, and now it's going to create likely another dashboard based on that. So let's see what that comes back with. So it's working on it, and you can kind of hear the dollars in the background going to Microsoft as the Copilot crunches through. So it came back, and that was, I don't know, probably 30 seconds or so. That was a little bit of time. So total revenue by product, by total returns by product, total orders by product. So I mean, it wasn't, in my dashboard before using this, I had, kind of some similar, here it goes, here's my product detail page. So it's kind of doing a decent job. So some of this, it's not bad. I mean, the nice thing is, it creates it. If you don't like what it did, or you want to change the visual, you can, it's a full-on, in Power BI, you're not locked into the way this looks. I mean, you can say, hey, that was a decent idea, but I want to tweak it and I want to use a different visual, and you can click around and easily change things, on your own that it creates. So it's kind of, I see it as a very good starting point, and it's not probably the end all be all, but at least it kind of gets you started, because to just to go through the motions to create whatever this is, 12 visuals or whatever, it's going to take a decent amount of time, even if you're an expert at this, to go in there, drag all the different things. Even if you're really well versed, I mean, this, in 30 seconds, I could tell you right now, it would have taken me more than 30 seconds to do that. So I can see this, and this is just the first iteration of it. So it's going to just get better. All right, so let me play around again. I just want to ask it some basic question. What is the most returned product? So let's see if it can make quick work out of that request. So it's thinking on it. This one's taking a little bit longer than you would expect, I think, but compared to, it made a whole dashboard within 20-30 seconds, and it's, a simple question. So there we go. It's the water bottle, 30 ounce, with a total returns of 155. So it says the source current page. So I guess it just kind of looked on the current page to answer that. I don't know. Let's say, what is the top selling product in Europe? And once again, the water bottle, 30 ounce. Let me see what else we could ask it. Let's show me a chart with product categories. If I could type product with category subtypes. So let's see what that comes back with. Once again, you can kind of hear the dollars adding up as it crunches through this. So let's make that bigger so we can see it. Showing category name and subcategory name. So so that's okay, but we kind of really want, let's add sales to this. Let's see if it can handle that. So definitely not blazing fast, but probably waiting 15 to 30 seconds sometimes. Okay, so this is pretty bad visual. Let's ask it to change it. Showing product name and total order quantity. Let's just say, can you stacked bar chart? So it's kind of, it's a different thought process. It's an iterative. The nice thing is, kind of when you're building dashboards in general, you're usually kind of thinking about, what you'd want to display. So this could kind of help you prototype and get some ideas tested a little bit better. So it did okay, but it didn't do kind of the stacked. I kind of wanted the category within the subcategory. So it did change it to a bar chart. Let me ask it one more time if I can. I'll just say, can you So I just asked it, can you include category and subcategory on the same axis? Let's see what it comes back with. There we go. So it did do what I asked it to. It's still not the most pretty chart, but it's exactly what I asked it to do. So accessories, bikes, clothing. So yeah, you can kind of see that cleaners, I guess. That is, I don't know what kind of things they're selling here. Bottles and cages. So yeah, pretty impressive. So then you can take this and you could say, hey, add it to the page. So then within a click, it's there, and I could drag it, wherever I wanted to, All right, let's try a different one. Can you create a trend of the number of returns over time? So let's just see what that one comes back with. Have some of my caffeinated water while I'm waiting. So let's see what this says. The trend appears over time is not consistent. However, certain patterns can be identified. So this is interesting. It kind of gave me, not at all what I was expecting. I was kind of expecting an actual chart, but it actually kind of dialogued, and kind of came back with a little bit of analysis. Let's just ask it, can you show this as a visual? Let's see what visual it picks to represent this. There we go. So that's kind of what I wanted. That's probably it kind of went above and beyond with this analysis, which is kind of neat. But basically this is total returns by return date. So you can see not too many returns. 2015, 16, and then 17 has a ton. Let's see what it said. Yeah, so it matched the dialogue here, the turns, but that's the big help is if I just want to know, hey, where's the return date coming from? Now let's just make this big so you can see it. Once I click on the visual, it'll highlight over here in the data. So you can see right here, because of the green, we got, it's pulling it from these two locations. So there's a returns fact table, and then there's some DAX calculations that we've done. But you can see right away, if nothing else, I didn't have to tell it, which table to go to, or, I didn't have to tell it what the column name was. It figured it out. So that's really helpful. Is it going to get it right all the time? No. And this is a, fairly simple model compared to probably what some people would face or have in their organizations. It's a great companion to have, and that's why it's perfect that the name Copilot is perfect, because it's a great companion to have. I don't think it's going to replace the need for data analysts and for people building these reports at this time. Eventually, it's gonna raise the bar, right? Instead of them just asking for some simple, visuals like this, you're gonna be asked to, create more in-depth things, because, basic things like this will just be covered. Thanks again, everybody, for joining me. My name is Andy, once again, with Integrity Data Insights, and I help companies with their reporting and analytics. If you need any help in that area, I'd love to chat. DM me, go to my website, integritydi.com, schedule a chat there. I'd love to talk to you and see what data challenges you have and see if I can help. Thanks, everyone, for joining me.